Hey YouTubers, and welcome to Bevins Bricks. I'm Daryl, and today's video is going to be learning how to build this firebox cabinet that you see in front of you. I probably shouldn't call it a firebox cabinet. What I actually call it is a fire hose cabinet. But either way, it is a fire for safety cabinet that you can add and use in your builds to give them some added character and some added detail. So let's go ahead and start with the build. And here is all the pieces we are going to be using to build this fire hose box. Now, I'm going to first show you how I did it. And mind you, in my particular build, which is my convention center, I have a 2x4 studded wall. Reason I'm saying that, because the wall we're going to be using for this particular build is going to be a 1x studded wall. Again, I used a 2x studded wall. So I'm going to build it how I did it actually in my convention center, and then I'm going to show you a way that you can build it and be able to place it in a single stud size wall and it still look good on the exterior of the building. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started with the build. It's an extremely easy build, but it's a lot of fun, and to me personally, it adds a whole bunch of character and detail to your builds. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our 2x4 plate and we're going to take our 1x4x3 wall piece, and we're going to click that on there like so. And then we're going to take our window and put it on the front of that piece. So now we have this. Now we're going to take our 2x4 plate and put it on top. And then we take this part, and I forget what it's called. I believe it's a bracket, if I'm not mistaken. And we put that on the facade. And because we want this to actually fit into a wall and we use two plates, we're going to put a third plate, and I do it up on top. So that way it'll actually be able to be studded into a wall with bricks. So now there is our basic firebox, and this is the basic firebox in the manner and fashion that I built it for my convention center. But now let me also show you what the alternative way would be for putting it in a single brick wide wall. So let's go ahead and pull that part back off and the bottom part back off. It's a very easy solution and a very easy substitute. You remove the pieces that I just had on it, and you take 3 white plates. Now mind you, if you have a building that is dark gray, you would replace this with a dark gray, and you would replace your plates with a dark gray. But you're still going to use the red window on the front, as the red window to me is what gives it the designation that it is a firebox. And once again, because we are sticking this in a single thickness wall, the reason we are doing it this way, and I actually did that backwards than what I intended. I wanted 2 plates on the bottom and I wanted 1 plate on top. Now, when you do this, you can either put the white sloped pieces on top of this, or what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take that part and put it back on the top like that as well, as it still gives you a nice appearance of a nice firebox. And the other alternative that you have is on the bottom of this, you can take the 2x2 sloped pieces and put them on there so it looks like it's kind of coming out the wall. And you could actually do the same thing with the top as well. Just use 2 slope pieces on the bottom and the top. As a matter of fact, just to show you what I'm referring to, this is what I mean. If you didn't want to do it with the way that I did it, that was just how I did it. This is another alternative way, and it still keeps your box the way it was, or the way it's intended to fit into a wall. But now it's a nice little sloped piece, and then it's sticking out the wall as well. But anyway, the box is the simplest part of the build, and then the hose part, believe it or not, is actually quite simple as well. Let me go ahead and put it back the way that I originally did this and did it for my convention center, as I felt like it was the most attractive way, which is this. And then I'm going to take it, because here's the artificial wall that I made, and we're going to stick it in our wall. And then we're going to put 3 bricks on top. So now there's our imaginary wall holding our fire hose cabinet. And that's why I was saying there's different ways you can do that, so that way you don't have the red lines on the exterior of the building. Anyway, now that we've made this cabinet, let's go ahead and start with the fire hose portion of the build. We take our 3L gold bar. Now mind you, you can use any color bar you want. I used gold, and the reason that I used gold, we take our little plate with the hole in it, and I put that on the end just a little bit, just so it's holding it. But the reason that I use the gold is because in most of the old fire hose panels, if anybody's familiar with that, usually it was either brass or it was chrome. So if I wasn't going to use gold, which I wanted to use the gold colored brick, I would use I would use light gray. But I wanted to have the color of gold. Brass is what I was trying to mimic anyway. And then the trick is to try and get it, oops, and I stuck it on too far, is to try and space these guys out just a little bit, which is what you would see in an actual fire hose. You don't want too much of a gap. This is probably the most tedious part of the build, is just trying to give yourself a nice little gap. And if it would just cooperate a little bit, there we go. Like I said, it's just a little bit tedious, but I'm going to stop there because I don't want to spend all day doing it. And then we're going to take this little nozzle piece, and what I do is I stick it in this part of the brick here. So that is your actual hose for the end of it. Now, I didn't actually look for it, and I probably should have. This would have actually, in my opinion, looked better as the in gold as well. But the closest thing I could find to gold was yellow, so that's what I went ahead and used. Now, I actually shouldn't have closed that yet, but now all we got to do is we take this piece, we take this little build, we slide it in there, we close the cabinet, and now you have a wonderful looking fire hose cabinet, and you can put it in your build. And yes, it just basically sits in there and rests in there. It doesn't do anything else. I had tried different ways to try and attach it to the wall, and most of the ways were not very pretty. But the thing is once it is built and sitting upright like so, and you walk up to your build and you look into it, it looks like a perfectly good fire hose cabinet. Anyway, that is all for this particular video. As always, I thank you for coming to Bevins Bricks. Don't forget to check out my merch shop. I will have a link to that below in the description of the video and the comment section. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share below. And we'll see you next time on Bevins Bricks.